Friends Explained.
Here's something I love about Friends. David Schwimmer went to Northwestern in the late 80s and was in a college improv troupe called the No Fun Mud Piranhas. Right next to him in that troupe was Stephen Colbert. Both of them, same group, same rehearsals, neither one famous yet.
And Schwimmer wasn't even committed to acting then. His original plan was medical school. He went to Beverly Hills High first, where he overlapped with Jonathan Silverman.
And he had the family for it. Both parents were Beverly Hills attorneys, and his mother, Arlene, was one of the most high-profile divorce lawyers in Los Angeles. She represented Elizabeth Taylor and Rod Stewart, that level of client.
Which makes Schwimmer's left turn into theater funnier. He co-founded a nonprofit company in Chicago in 1988, Lookingglass Theatre, with 7 Northwestern collaborators. He still directs there.
And the role of Ross Geller was specifically written for him. Marta Kauffman, David Crane, and Kevin Bright knew him from a previous project, wrote the character with his rhythms in mind, and offered it before they cast anyone else. He turned it down at first, then said yes. He was the first of the 6 locked in.
And the next puzzle was Courteney Cox,
who was supposed to play Rachel. Producers had her tagged as the cheery, upbeat one. Cox read the script and decided Monica was the more interesting part, asked to switch, and Kauffman watched her audition and signed off.
And Cox's path into the industry is one of the more cinematic things in the whole show's backstory. Brian De Palma cast her from an open call to be in Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark video. She's the woman pulled on stage at the St. Paul Civic Center in 1984.
20 years old, dancing with Springsteen mid-song. She also did the 1985 Tampax-commercial that became a footnote in advertising history. First person to say the word period on American television. Then a couple years on Family Ties as Lauren, the Alex P. Keaton girlfriend opposite Michael J. Fox.
Plus, late 80s films like Masters of the Universe and Cocoon: The Return. And before any of that, 1985 NBC Misfits of Science. She was a series regular as a teenage telekinetic on a short-lived sci-fi show.
Now, LeBlanc is the inverse story. The producers did not want him for Joey. Network insisted. Crane and Kauffman had their own read of the character on the page. NBC said, "Take this guy. He just gave you something you didn't write." And LeBlanc played Joey warmer and simpler than they'd imagined, and they ended up rewriting toward him.
Newton, Massachusetts kid. Italian on his mother's side, French-Canadian on his dad's. Newton North High School graduating class. Same year as Louis C.K., same building.
Then Wentworth Institute of Technology for Engineering, dropped out, moved to New York at 17 to model. Was told he was too short. First TV credit, a 1987 Heinz tomato ketchup commercial. Then music videos, Bon Jovi's Miracle, Tom Petty's Into the Great Wide Open, a Bob Seger one.
Then Married with Children as Vinny, the guy briefly dating Kelly Bundy. And 2 Married with Children spin-offs after that. Top of the Heap, then Vinny and Bobby. Both flopped.
Long resume of swings and misses by the time Friends came around, which is part of why NBC was so protective of him in the room. Then there's Matthew Perry, who almost wasn't in the show at all.
Right. He was attached to LAX 2194.
Which is a sitcom pilot set in the LA airport baggage handling department 200 years in the future. That's the actual premise. He was fully booked on it. The pilot fell through, freed him, and he read for 6 of 1, which was Friends' working title, and was cast as Chandler days before shooting.
And his family is its own resume. Mother Suzanne Morrison was press secretary to Pierre Trudeau. Stepfather Keith Morrison is the Dateline NBC voice. Father is John Bennett Perry, an actor and former model.
So Perry grew up around journalism on one side and acting on the other, mostly raised in Ottawa by his mom. Pre-Friends, he had a 3-episode Growing Pains arc, a starring spot opposite Valerie Bertinelli on a sitcom called Sydney, and a 90210 guest turn.
Plus the summer of 1993 at Williamstown Theatre Festival in Massachusetts, doing stage work alongside Gwyneth Paltrow.
Which is so specifically that era. Every young, serious actor cycled through Williamstown that summer. Aniston is the next near miss. She was already cast on a sitcom called Muddling Through when Friends came together. It needed to flop fast for her to be free, and it conveniently did.
Pre-Friends, she had years of low-grade work. A Nutrisystem spokesmodel ad on Howard Stern, the failed Ferris Bueller TV adaptation, a TV movie called Camp Cucamonga, and Leprechaun in 1993, The horror film she's openly called embarrassing.
And she came out of LaGuardia in Manhattan, the Fame High School. Her dad, John Aniston, was a soap actor for nearly 40 years. He was Victor Kiriakis on Days of Our Lives, started that role in 1985, and played it until his death in 2022. Her godfather was Telly Savalas.
So she grew up around the whole Greek-American character actor crowd before she ever picked up a script of her own. Then Lisa Kudrow, who at 30 was actually the oldest of the six.
Oldest, and the one who took the longest to break in. John Lovitz was a childhood friend of her brother and pushed her toward comedy. She joined the Groundlings in LA, briefly did improv with Conan O'Brien in a troupe called Unexpected Company, tried out for SNL in 1990, and lost the slot to Julia Sweeney.
And the deepest near miss. She was cast as Roz on Frasier, recast with Perry Gilpin during the taping of the actual pilot. That late.
Universe pushing her toward Phoebe instead. By the time Friends started, she'd already been playing Ursula on Mad About You, so the show imported that prior role rather than starting fresh.
They didn't write around the existing show. They absorbed it. Same with Schwimmer's pre-existing aesthetic. Same with Kudrow's improv reflexes. Every voice on the show came in pre-formed.
And the larger production team has its own backstory. Marta Kauffman and David Crane met as undergrads at Brandeis, late 70s. They built up through theater and writing partnerships and ended up running Dream On together. The HBO show with old black and white TV clips cut into the lead character's interior monologue.
From Dream On, they brought Kevin Bright over. Bright was the showrunner there too. And Bright is the literal reason Schwimmer was first cast. They had previously worked together. The whole bridge from a Brandeis dorm room to NBC ran through that producing team.
And the pilot itself was directed by James Burrows, who'd co-created Cheers and directed the Frasier pilot. NBC handing Friends to him was essentially saying, "This is your next Thursday night sitcom franchise." He directed 15 Friends episodes across the run.
The recurring cast around the six is its own web. Hank Azaria, who plays David, had auditioned for Joey and lost. Jane Sibbett, who replaced Anita Barone as Carol, was a Herman's Head co-star of Azaria's a couple years before.
Christina Pickles, who plays Judy Geller, was the lead nurse on St. Elsewhere through the 80s. Elliot Gould, who plays Jack Geller, was Trapper John in MASH back in 1970. And Mitchell Whitfield, who plays Barry, was Stan in My Cousin Vinny 2 years before Friends started.
And James Michael Tyler, Gunther, was a real barista at LA's Bourgeois Pig when they cast him. The set looked authentic because he genuinely was the guy behind the counter.
That's the assembly. 6 leads who were almost in different shows, plus a recurring bench that was already inside the same comedy ecosystem.
Anchored by a Brandeis friendship, directed in by a Cheers veteran, surrounded by people who'd already been in your living room.
And you can hear all of it under the rhythm. The Schwimmer Colbert improv timing, the Kudrow Groundlings deadpan, the LeBlanc commercial polished charm. None of that voice was invented for